Hey, Merry Christmas, friends. I hope all is well with you and yours. I thought I'd say hi and post a bonus track of my Harvey Organ interview in which Harvey and I specifically talk about the fraud-riddled ETFs, GLD and SLV. I hope to talk with Harvey again in the new year, so if you have any specific topics or questions you'd like to hear Harvey address, please PM me or leave a comment below, and I'll try to toss them his way. In the meantime, please enjoy this enhanced version of Conversations with Harvey Organ, Deconstructing the Fraud of GLD and SLV.
You just mentioned the SLV and the GLD, and that you believe they are, I've read the prospectus, that they're fraudulent vehicles. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, certainly, I thought way back in 2003 or 4 that this was a fraudulent vehicle. Here you have the fox guarding the hens. And there's no question that this had to be a fraudulent vehicle. Now, the gold, Reg Howe always had trouble with this, because what he was trying to do was balance demand with the BIS figures, and he was always missing certain things. The amount of gold that is on the GLD inventory, until he was speaking with Catherine Fitz. And at that point, she was saying, well, wait a minute, in the prospectus that the GLD people are allowed to do a swap. So then Reg figures out, well, wait a minute, so if you swap gold with paper money, so paper money goes back, so the GLD gives paper money back to the Bank of England. The Bank of England gives gold back to... It's just moving from one cubbyhole to the other, because the Bank of England, that's where it's stored. Mm-hmm. So he then balances it and says it's 100% balance. At that point, his BIS figures match, which generally means that the GLD is backed by paper, like pieces, like nothing. Why? Because the Bank of England gets its gold back. So therefore, the swap goes re-swapped, so the GLD gets back its paper money that it gave, but not an increase, because the amount of interest is zero, so it gets nothing. And the Bank of England gets its gold back. And of course, it's really not the Bank of England, it's probably Arab gold, because the Bank of England has leased all theirs, that's to their credit. And that's probably one. And the other thing which is very important to understand is the Bank of England is a foreign depository. And you just deposit your gold at the Bank of England, and these guys can do whatever they want with it. And that's what they did. They went and so they made their deal, and the Bank of England itself gets its gold back on behalf of the Arabs or whoever the rightful owner is. But the poor GLD people are going to be left with the paper money at where they bought the gold, supposedly. And they'll be losing big time, and then gold will be skyrocketing, and then which then they'll go to the Fed to start bailing out. The shareholders will be screaming, and then they're going after Mary Shapiro. By the way, I've written Mary Shapiro countless times saying this is a fraud, and she has never responded once.
So, Harvey, the people that are holding the GLD and the SLV essentially are smart enough to know that there's something going on and that they want to protect themselves with some gold and silver, but they haven't done the research, and so they're actually playing the role of the sucker, and those vehicles are being used as a bit of an escape valve, a relief valve, if you will, by the big banks, right? Because if you think about the SLV, you've got $9 billion in market cap built into the SLV, which has totally defrayed that demand from the physical side.
Scary, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Now, you guys should know and do your own math, because it's very simple. When you take its net asset value of SLV, it trades at a discount to its net asset value. Mm-hmm. But when you do a silver fund like Sprott Silver or the Central Fund of Canada, it's always a positive. Like, what was today, 12%?
Yeah, for PSLV. Yeah, PSLV is up 12%.
Yeah, the Sprott Silver was tremendous last night. Yeah. It came in at 12%. So now let's stop and think. Here's Sprott at 12% higher than the amount of silver that he's got. He's got 22 million ounces. Take the number of ounces, and the value of the stock is 12% higher. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now take your SLV. It's 97%. So the people are putting their voice, and they're saying, well, wait a minute, it's not there.
And the people with SLV and GLD, when that thing comes crashing down, they're going to find that they're unsecured creditors, correct?
Exactly what they are.
Yeah.
They are nothing but an unsecured creditor, and all they have is the paper dollars to pay for this. That's going to come back from the Bank of England.
Do you see the possibility, if the fraud gets bad enough, that they might even be standing in line trying to get their money, trying to get their cash value? I mean, could it be that somehow those vehicles could declare some sort of bankruptcy or bankruptcy protection?
We believe that the central authorities, I would probably think the Prime Minister will then orchestrate payments to all these guys because it'll just be chaos. It'll be criminal law. And so I think these guys a check will be written just like everything else will be.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's certainly fraud here. The problem for Mary Shapiro is that there's countless of guys who have written to her. Okay, so it's very hard. All of a sudden, why she didn't act, like the Madoff situation. She refused to act. That's an issue that's but it's certainly going to be fraudulent, and initially shareholders are going to get nothing.
And just to be clear, is Mary Shapiro, is she over at the SEC?
She's the SEC. This is an SEC issue.
Okay.
Okay. Although you're dealing with foreign bodies as well, but it's a New York stock listed company, and therefore I'm telling her she has a problem.
Okay.
The other thing is that you're allowing shorting.
Right.
Of the SLV and GLD, which is totally wrong, and you're getting the poor guys who are buying somebody short is also a problem. You're not dealing with you don't know if you've got the rightful owner of these things, which is another issue in itself. These what called failure to deliver, and that's constantly going on. And of course, the banks own the clearinghouses.
Right.
So that's another issue if you want to talk about that. But that's another bad issue.
It's just incestuous. Well, I want to ask you about the physical silver fund from Sprott, the PSLV, because I bought some of that at $10.55. I think he took it public and he raised his $500 million around $10.
Right.
I've had people ask me what each share represents. So if for instance, let's say today the price is $12.50. I think it's a little above that maybe. Say the individual share price is $12.50, Harvey. Do you know what that breaks down to, or how does that work?
Right. I have to check exactly what. I know you can tender in all your shares, and he'll give you physical for it at a certain time, and I believe you're correct. I do know. I have to. Actually, I think I wrote on this. I know he's got 22 million ounces committed. I don't think it's arrived yet. But it's committed to be on there, so it has to come through boat, and it's coming to the 240 King Street.
Yeah,
going there.
I think he locked it in around 26, the high 26, 26.80.
That's what he did, and you look at the number of shares outstanding, and
you do the math,
and you'll see. But you have to take away the NAV. You got to go back to NAV.
Okay.
And the number of shares and what it represents, and you can tender that in.
Okay.
You can't tender in at the higher price. You tender in at NAV.
Oh, I see.
And I know that the SLV itself is supposed to represent 1 ounce for every share outstanding.
Right.
Okay, that's what it's scheduled to be, of which there is none.
Okay.
The same thing with the gold.
Okay.
All right, but you could do your math. I'm pretty sure this Sprott, but I can tell you categorically that the Sprott silver and gold is there. I know Eric very well, and he will, and that stuff is real. And I can tell you, it takes a long time for that silver and gold to arrive.
Right.
6 months, and I speaking to Spicer of Central Fund of Canada. It takes 6 months to get.
Wow.
And you can imagine all these SLV. Well, wait a minute, you can accumulate 1 million ounces in a day?
Well,
it takes other guys 6 months to get that, So that's how you know it's fraudulent. There's just no way they're going to load this.
Yeah.
So it has to be done by entries, cubby holes, moving from this and that, and it doesn't belong to them. That's the fraud.